Hi, everybody. This is Marie,
And this is Meg.
and we are Mission Impossible. Two sisters, one goal, no turning back on this weight loss transformational journey with OPTAVIA. Today, we are here to talk about the LifeBook element number 5, optimizing your surroundings. In this element, it's a fairly lengthy chapter, so we've been tackling it over the last 2 weeks and doing a lot of personal reflection. It's really making the connection between your emotions and how that impacts your relationships, and making sure that you're setting up your relationships and a community that's supporting you on your health journey so that you have that emotional support as you go through the journey to be able to set you up for success. So, Meg, what were a few key takeaways or interesting things that you learned from this chapter?
Yeah, so a couple things that I learned. The first one was kind of in the introduction to this chapter. Dr. A talks about people's essential need for connection and
Mm-hmm.
community. And this is something I've read about in the past as well, just relative to retirement and people enjoying retirement. Really depends a lot on having a sense of community established and social connections that you
Mm-hmm.
can still maintain. And so, like, they've done studies, and if you read like Brene Brown, she talks about this that having human relationships and companionships is a bigger, or like not having those connections is a bigger risk of death than
Yes,
smoking, than
right. It
cancer.
causes
It's like,
premature death. Yes.
yeah, so this is pretty major. And like, I was telling someone actually recently this week that they were like, "What's this book you're reading?" And I was kind of sharing, and I was like, a lot of it isn't necessarily like weight loss focused. It's just like good practices for improving yourself that
Mm-hmm.
you are seeing through a weight loss lens at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's so
And
true.
this is definitely one of those chapters. Um, Another thing that stood out to me, and this was from the Habits of Health companion book, um, were some of the statistics around relationships and health. So I'll
Yeah.
just read a few of those. So if a friend of yours becomes obese, it increases your probability of becoming obese by 57%. If
Whoa.
it's your sibling, it's 40%, and if it's your spouse, it's 37%.
What
If
about
your best
what if your friend or sibling gets skinny? Does that help increase your chances?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, so okay, good you asked, right? If your best friend exercises regularly and is really active, it triples your chances of also being very physically active. If your best friend eats healthfully, you are 5 times more likely to also have a healthy diet pattern. So
So go find yourself a best friend who hits the gym and eats healthy, and you'll be good to go.
yeah, or like be that best friend to your friends.
Good point.
Um, and it emphasizes your friends' habits are more important than the eating pattern in your family history, which is so crazy that, like, you're getting a lot of influence from your social
Right.
network, not
You
just
know
your
what it
family
is?
network.
I think it's because I mean, you have the option to pick your friends.
Yeah.
So, your family, there may be things that you agree with, or customs or things that you may want to change or do something different. But your friends, you're largely choosing. And so you can choose individuals who are most aligned with the lifestyle that you want to lead, both.
Yeah. Yeah. And like they're choosing you too. So you
Right.
have to kind of
It does have to be
prove
mutual.
yourself worthy. Yeah. Um, so a lot of this chapter actually talks about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset, as well as employing stop, challenge, choose in controlling your emotions
Hmm.
when you're dealing with other people. And it asks you to reflect upon different emotions you experience during the day and kind of look back and assess if you were in that growth mindset, which is kind of identified by openness to learning more, like failure is just the first try, or whatever the different, platitudes are. And then versus a fixed mindset, which is more rooted in I'm right, and or I want to be right, and might trigger some like defensiveness. And they refer to these systems like if you're getting defensive, it's your hot or go system. It is kind of that initial reaction that you get. And then your growth mindset system is your slow, or what they call no, K-N-O-W,
Mm-hmm.
system that is more aligned with, really processing, thinking, and questioning.
Pausing, reflecting, being very deliberate, and they really focus a lot about responding, choosing that response, not just reacting.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one of the things that I marked up a lot of this chapter, but there's one little call out that's like, who can upset you? And the answer is only you.
Yeah.
So it's really about taking personal responsibility for the emotions that you have, rather than looking externally and saying, oh, well, so and so ticked me off, and so I ate a candy bar or whatever. It's like, well, it was your choice to eat the candy bar, and it was your choice to get ticked off. So own it. Betty White? No.
And then just start to pause and think about how you could react or respond differently than maybe you have in the past, or put a different lens or a different perspective on the situation that happened. But I think really in this chapter, the linkage there is between that emotional response and how that impacts your relationships, and really making sure that you're taking time to stop and listen. So the more conscientious or self-aware you are of your own emotions, it's also helping you to be more aware of how other people might be feeling. And so it really focuses in on taking the time to listen and give someone else your full attention, and really seek to understand, another platitude, before before just trying to think of what you're going to say or how you're going to respond, but really taking it all in and really understanding the other person's perspective. And I thought that you had some really interesting statistics on how social media, how the electronic leash has impacted relationships lately over the last decade, that that were really fascinating. I know one of them that I had read in here talked about how our attention span just over the last 10 years has gone from a whopping 10 seconds down to 8 seconds. Is that correct? No, 12 seconds. It was 12 seconds a decade ago, and now it's only 8 seconds, which, by the way, is less than a goldfish's attention span.
Yeah, that is crazy to me. There are all sorts of statistics in here about how social media and like being kind of web enabled on all devices, whether it's your phone, your watch, your earbuds,
Mm-hmm.
any of that stuff, really just ends up causing more stress because you feel a need to pay attention to all of these things at any given time. And the fact that you are trying to pay attention to all of these different things means that the quality of your relationships is eroding at the
Mm-hmm.
same time.
Right.
Um,
And while
and
you may
so,
think you're staying connected with people, as you mentioned, I think it's really about the quality of those interactions. And so when you're on social media or you're texting, there's a lot of quick interactions. You may have a number in terms of quantity of people that you're interacting with, but are you really having that in-depth communication and understanding and human connection with someone? That has been eroding over time.
yeah. I mean, now you don't even have to write a text anymore. You get
Right, it
presented with
autofills.
a few options. You get a text and you can like click one of those rapid response options. And it's like, I don't know.
So I think one of the other things that stood out to me in this chapter was really trying to surround yourself with those friends who are going to help support you on your journey, and making sure that you're surrounding yourself with those folks and thinking about how you can influence those relationships to support your goals. So for example, having get-togethers with your friends that involve physical activity, going for a hike, going for a bike ride, rather than it centering around food or going to a bar or drinking, finding things that support you in your health goals.
Yeah, and so this chapter actually asks you, it's got like an open response area for you to list 5 people that are your closest friends. Um, and I think the intent here is to list people who are your friends who are also, exhibiting healthy behaviors and healthy patterns. And then people who this book refers to as more of accomplices, or people who maybe, have good intentions, but also like invite you to eat things that they know you can't have, or socially pressure you to eat foods.
Right. Like, oh, this one time won't matter, right? You can make an exception today, right?
Yeah, or like, oh, but it's my birthday. Like, you're gonna have water on my birthday and,
Mm-hmm.
guilt you into eating more,
We
or
all have, we all have those frenemies.
yeah. Yeah, I think frenemies is actually a better word than accomplices in this case, where it's like this person, really does have your best interest at heart. And for
Right.
them, they can't understand why you wouldn't want to, celebrate in an equivalent way. But it is an opportunity to be like the healthier friend and bring
Mm-hmm.
them along on the journey with you,
Mm-hmm.
rather than relying on finding someone else that's super healthy.
Yeah.
Was I one of your friends, or am I a frenemy?
Oh, you are definitely on the friend list.
I'm glad I made it. You were number one on my list of
Aw,
5 friends.
that means so much to me. Love you, sister. I can't do a heart. Okay, there's a
It's a lump. Yeah, yeah. Um, so are there any items from this chapter that you're kind of incorporating more into your day to day as you focus on these relationships and who's surrounding you?
Yeah, actually, one of the things I've been trying to do is incorporate more physical activity, going on hikes with friends. This morning I went for a walk, a couple miles with some friends, and trying to get together. And actually, COVID has actually helped with that because we've wanted to be outdoors more and rather than in indoor environments. And most of my friends don't really want to eat inside in a restaurant right now. So it's working out really well to be able to meet up and go for a walk or a hike and enjoy each other's conversation without necessarily having to eat or drink anything.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely one of the more socially distanced ways to get together right now.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
So aside from doing more physical things, I think on the eating side of the equation, I'm staying with a friend now who is very generously offering to like cook dinners and things like that. And so I initially I was like, well, do I want to be the house guest that just kind of goes with the flow and like eats what's offered to me and know that like that will have an impact, because it's not like I'm staying here one night. It's like a period of time. Um, or just kind of reframe and ask like, hey, would you mind if we modified it that, our meals this way or that way or whatever. And she actually said, like, I might get healthier as a result of, having you here for this time. And that made me feel better and just like less of a pain
Yeah.
asking for that. So I
She's
think it's
definitely on the
definitely,
friend list.
yes, she made it. Yeah, exactly. And I think, my dog, who's like passed out right now, is on the friend list, at a minimum. I've got to get up, take him for walks, like make sure he's cared for. Like if you're in a place where you don't have a ton of social connection right now, I mean, a lot of people are getting COVID pets. I recommend it. I did not get my dog as a result of COVID. I've had him all along, but it is nice to have kind of another living thing that you're responsible for, that you feel like, I can't just go to sleep without walking him. Like,
No, you can't let him down. He's gonna.
exactly. Yeah. And I don't think he would let me anyway, but Yeah, so if you're lacking like human to human connection, maybe consider a pet. You can like foster them,
Yeah,
be a good buddy to another living thing.
it's a nice idea. All right, so wrapping up this chapter, surrounding yourself with human and non-human friends alike to help support you on your health journey. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join us on this predictable transformation journey. Reach out to become an OPTAVIAN or hit the subscribe button wherever it may be. Until next time.